Hello everyone. I just wanted to stop and take a minute to give you an update on how the trip's been going. On the last update, it was last Sunday, and of course today is Sunday, November the 20th. As you're watching this, we've already had our worship services over here, and we've already had a productive day, and by the time you get to this, we're already going to bed getting ready for Monday morning. But what we've been doing on the last little bit, or the last 7 days, we were still in the Philippines last we left, and we were at the Commonwealth Church of Christ in Quezon City. We spent some time with this congregation, and on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we taught classes for about 3 hours. I taught classes on 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, and Tim Hayes, who was with me in the Philippines, he spent some time talking in 1st and 2nd Peter and the book of Jude on some general epistle themes. What was interesting about these classes, and it really taught me more than I was able to teach while I was over here, but what really struck me interesting is everywhere they would read, they would find a way to make it practical. So as we went through this particular set of classes, it was interesting to hear all of their questions. And what was hard was that you had to be ready to answer any question from any time and anyone. So after we finished our classes, we had 3 hours every night, we would have some time for questions, and they would ask a multitude of questions. Some would be normal, easy answers, and some would be very complicated. But here's what I learned. They loved God's Word, and hopefully we're just the same with them. We love God's Word and want to ask questions. So we finished our trip in the Philippines, or our studies in the Philippines, on Wednesday night, and we had a day on Thursday to kind of get out, get to see some of the city. Where we were at, we did not have the opportunity to get out near the hotel. We decided it best be safe to be picked up at the hotel via taxi and be taken over to Commonwealth. And once we got back to the hotel, we didn't really get out. So we were able to get a taxi and go with Brother Juan Diamante, who's the preacher at Commonwealth, and get out into the city, and he could show us some things. So we went to some of the historical sites that were here. We went to a fort, we went to some museums, and we even went and spent some time at one of the colleges there in the Philippines. But what you want to be able to see on this trip is the fact of how we had to travel. I showed you some of that last time, but I want you to be able to see in some of these photos all of the things that they would do on the streets. The lines on the streets, well, they didn't really mean anything. I only noticed 3 red lights in the Philippines. Everything else was just come and go as you please. If you came up and it was clear, you went. If you didn't, well, they went anyways. And they would drive all sorts of things, from regular vehicles to crazy, outlandish, what they called jeepneys. These were jeeps that were used in the different wars, and they had inherited them over here, and they turned them into a bus-style thing. And even as a gift, a parting gift to come away from Commonwealth, they gave me a small figure of one of the jeepneys to bring home, and you'll see it sitting on my shelf in the office soon. So we finished our visit, and then it was time for some more flights. This trip has constituted a good part of its time on flights. We've been flying a lot, going to place. It's not an easy way to travel over here, but you can make it. When we left the Philippines, we made it to the airport. We made it in plenty of time, got on our plane, made it over to Singapore, and just absolutely had a great time while we were in the Philippines. But the contrast between the Philippines and Singapore, well, they're great. Singapore is a city that's clean. Singapore is a city that's organized. Singapore is a city that is well thought out. But not only that, Singapore is a city that's filled with all different types of culture, all different types of mentalities. Singapore is a very open country. They have a place called Little India and Little China and all sorts of different areas for culture, but it's much calmer here. There are red lights here. People obey the traffic laws here. They stay in their own lane on the street, and that's very encouraging. So we spent some time in flights, and then we made it over to Singapore. And while we got here, on Saturday, 4Cs, the school here that we're working with, had its first graduation, or its graduation for the year. And we spent some time with them in that graduation. And then we went out with Peter and Pui Fun Chien and spent some time with them that night for dinner. On Sunday, the day I'm recording this, myself and Tim Burrows, a different man that was with in the Philippines, there's Tim Hayes and Tim Burrows on the trip, we went over to the Lima PN Church of Christ. Today was considered my day off. I did not have any teaching to do today, didn't have any preaching to do today. So I went to Lima PN, and they have showed me how to maximize the use of what we have. You know, we get concerned that we don't have enough space. Well, they don't have enough space. But what they've done, they've taken their space and they've masterfully used it. Their auditorium is really a home, and they've not been allowed to change the home, so they've had to put screens up so you can see. They've had to make it arranged so you can see. And it's very impressive to see these people. And they love spending time in worship. They're not bound by time. They're bound by worship. So really what you have right now is we're on the last leg of our trip. On Wednesday, we will begin the lectureship with the Four Cs Bible College, and next Sunday I'll have a report for you on what's happening in that. We'll have some more travels to do over here, some more things to see over here, and by the time you watch next Sunday's video, I'll be back hopefully on Tuesday evening. My flight's supposed to get in around 6:55 in Memphis, and I'll be driving straight home. One of the greatest challenges, as you could imagine, on this trip is time. Really, time and distance. I'm a long way away from you, but more importantly to me, I'm a long way away from my family. Someone at East Hill got a hold of me this week, and it very much encouraged me to ask me how I was doing away from my family because they know I love them. If there's anything I want anyone to know in this world, is of course about the church. But number two is about the love that I have for my family. And that is really the hardest part of the trip. The food, the cultures, you can get over that. But missing your family is hard. But technology's made it great. I'll see them soon. I'll see you soon. And I hope you have a good day.